Hey everyone, how's it going out there? And once again, my mind is like my web browser. I got more than 19 tabs open, but I don't know where that music's coming from. I've tried every tab. I just don't know where it's at. So, hey, how's everybody doing out there? I'm just going to get back up over here to the chat, make sure it's showing. All right, and let's see who all's there. All right, do a quick roll call. Who's here right now? So Uncle Al says he's going to be at the vineyard, so I'm not sure when he's going to be in. Andrew's looking at work. Aiden is here. CB at Hugo Homestead's here. Laura at Hedgehog Homestead's here. Tasha at Prep For It's here. Yoshi in the Simple Kitchen is here. Bruce at Backwoods Law is here, and he said he just got the notification. Didn't you check your email an hour ago? Yeah, like I check my email all the time. I just forgot to send it out this morning. I was busy working on stuff. All right, Suburban Hillbillies here. Shady Hill Homestead's here. Gardner Josh is here. Bob is here. So, shoot, I think I can do this here. Let's see. No, I can't. But I'll put it in the main one here. So those that are looking for the link, that thought they had it sent to you, there's the link. Oh, man. Yeah, I was just over there on the Broussard Homestead, and they were talking about ways to increase your self-reliance. Hey, Yossi.
Hi.
All right, and so they were talking about ways to increase your self-reliance, and they were going through some stuff. And one of the things they talked about was getting rid of paper goods like paper towels, paper napkins, and going to stuff like even as far as the family towel for wiping and just in the washing machine. Well, that's all fun and good in a normal situation. If the power goes out and you're on well water and you ain't got no power to pump your well water, you're not going to be doing a lot of laundry to wash all those cloth paper towels and cloth towels for cleaning up messes and everything else. And hey, Diggs. And so one of the things that I thought was kind of interesting, though, is that 3 times he came back around going through it to the supply chain and trying to figure out what it is. And if anybody's been watching my channel, Uncle Al, David, Southern Ohio Prepping, for the last 2.5 years, at least once a year, Dave and I have done lives. I know Al did a little short one on it. Hey, Keith, and about our fragile supply chain. And all you really need to look at it is to understand how fragile it is look what's floating out in the ocean, not being able to be unloaded. Not enough truck drivers, not enough longshoremen to unload. It's like a plug in a bottle.
Even Israel have 4 weeks delay to take out the goods.
Yeah. And it's just, something's happening all over the place. One of the problems here in America, I know, froze. Excuse me. One of the problems here is that we rely so much on the just-in-time delivery system. Mm-hmm. And that really was started by Toyota, because they didn't want to have a lot of warehouses, and so they were ordering their supply stuff to be delivered just in time to put the cars together. So they didn't have 4,000 hoods sitting around taking up warehouse space when they needed engine blocks. And so they had it all scheduled out. Well, back in the 80s, they had an Ubugu. And they had a chink in something happened with the supply of the computer chips for their cars. They learned their lesson. They went back through their just-in-time system and said, okay, what is a critical component that we cannot get elsewhere? Computer chips. There are other people that can provide the plastic beads for our mold injections for all our plastic parts. So we got multiple things set up so we can get, if one fails, we can go to another one immediately. And they laid out stuff for their adapting their just-in-time profile so that it worked when this back in last year when all the other car companies were going, oh, we can't get computer chips. Toyota's going, we got a year's worth. And so they had almost a year's worth in the warehouse because it doesn't take up much room at all. A little computer chip, right? And they did really well on that. Unfortunately, the rest of the world did not learn back in the 80s when Toyota learned about the problems of just in time. You got to prioritize what can be just in time and what you got to make sure you have a backup of. And one of the things they did here, a lot of companies cut their truck driver staffing to the bone, just enough to get it done. And as Dave would tell you, a lot of them are having to run 2 logbooks, one that show the feds and one that actually shows what they're doing, because they're working more than they're supposed to just to get the stuff done. And the other problem is that the harbors, Long Beach, Port of Long Beach, Port of Oakland, Port of New York, Port of Jersey, all the rest of them also cut back just enough where people were actually spending more money because people were working overtime so much to get the job done. But they figured, we're not paying out all this extra health care. Which I had a friend of mine who's an economist says, no, they're spending more money because of the overtime than if they had hired 10 extra people to help relieve the problem. Because what happens? They plan, okay, we got everybody here, and they got everybody scheduled out, and then someone goes, I'm going on vacation. I'm going the week after they go. And now all of a sudden they have a bunch of holes, and all of a sudden overtime just fills in. Instead of having other people to plug it in or pick up the slack, it's short. And that's what happened with the overtime. With the just-in-time process at all the ports, because they don't have enough people to load the stuff out. And then, of course, the big problem has to do with the Red Dragon and the crazy professional politicians' cow pie stuff with, we're going to mandate you do this, and not realizing that the legal term for mandate is voluntary compliance. They say mandate, everybody goes, they're going to make us do it. Well, no, if you look at anything that has a mandate in it, written into the wording of it by law, the legal definition is voluntary compliance. They cannot make it you must comply without removing the word mandate from all the wording. That was from a constitutional lawyer friend of mine. So even though they stick that in there and it has mandate in it and everybody thinks you have to do it, the companies out there don't want to risk it. Okay, we're going to do this, this, and this. We're going to make you do this and make you do that. And a lot of people are going, heck no. I know 6 people that got the jab, and all 6 of them have really nasty side effects. A couple of them are now on heart medication now, where they had no heart problems before. Others have, lung problems where they didn't have lung problems before. And so, yeah. But enough about that, guys. Those in the side chat. Oh, wait, they call it a comic book? What? Yeah, Keith. And I froze. Keith is right. They can't enforce it, but they can. What they're doing what they're doing with the churches. Some unscrupulous people from the IRS are going around to the churches saying, you need to tell your parishioners they have to get it. Otherwise, we're going to take away your nonprofit status and make you pay back taxes for 10 years, which is totally illegal because they can't backdate it from the time they remove it. And, that one gets shot down in court as well. Hey, Steve. Running through butt naked dinner time. Oh, wait. I want to see that, Steve. No, I don't want to see it. Never mind. I do not want to see that. I don't care if you are a Marine. I do not want to see that. But one of the things with the companies and stuff, like my wife's company, they're all paranoid. They're going to get fines and penalties for not making all their employees do it. And I keep telling. I sent my wife these. Send these on to them. Have them listen to it. The one is about the video from the guy that actually invented the messenger NRA program for other use. But and that's what they took it from his work. And Bruce is here. Hey, Bruce. And this doctor is saying, no, it is not a vaccine. It does not prevent transmission. All it can do is lessen symptoms because it's such a broad spectrum.
They're doing the same thing in Israel. They're trying to everybody to take the job.
Yeah.
And thank God I don't work now, because if I was working the kitchen industry and the health industry, they force you to do it.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Tibor. Yeah, but anyways, my wife is getting really agitated because they go, well, if you're going to travel to Idaho, you have to when you come back, you got to quarantine for 21 days at home, which doesn't bother her. She got to do the work, but they want her to come in and do stuff, and they give her a bad time about doing the quarantine. And last night we were texting back and forth. I said, no, I'm watching the numbers. California is way worse than Idaho, 10 times worse than Idaho. And so, the numbers are there. This is what each state is reporting. And it's, and then my county here is like 20 times better than the county she's in California.
No, and the job is free. You can do it if you want it. Mm-hmm. It's free.
Yeah. And it's just one of those things to she's getting so mad. She's thinking about selling the California property, which she didn't want to do because it's paid off and it's worth, 7 digits. And she wants to just, rent it out because we can get $5,000 a month for it, renting it out. But she gets so mad she doesn't want to deal with that. She just she's about ready just to say, I'm coming to Idaho. But she's worried about our 2 boys there. I know the Alex would have no problem coming up here because we just get him a job down here at the local, sort of like a 7-Eleven gas station, but it's it's called Hard Times. He can get a job down there really easy. And the other one, was thinking, well, I can get a job over there at Idaho Supreme Potato Factory. And it's like, yeah. And so we'll see what actually happens. Jay, I love it when she comes up here because instead of me trying to do stuff by myself, even if it's only for a couple hours a day, I got that extra hand and I get 6 times as much stuff done with that extra hand. And in the evening, I can sit down there and just give her a foot rub. Oh, Steve needs to upgrade his phone. It can't keep up. Isn't that like a Marine, huh, Bruce?
Man, you didn't even give him a chance. He gets right in here and you're right on him.
No, he was already in here earlier. He said he was running through butt naked. Oh, the weather here is better than Idaho. Really? It's actually it's been clear and nice and sunny the last couple of days. It's been getting up into the high 60s, low 70s. Go outside with a T-shirt on. It's it's nice.
Here now it's 4 a.m. It's 64 degrees.
So it's just one of those things going on here is that the stupidity of some people drinking the Kool-Aid. Actually, it wasn't Kool-Aid. It was everyone thinks it was Kool-Aid that Jim Jones served, but it was what was it? It was Bright Aid or something like that. It was a different thing, and it was grape flavored.
Kool-Aid to me.
And hey, Don, WD Glock and Roll. Hey, guys, if you haven't been checking out WD Glock and Roll, he's been on vacation the last week or so and driving around. He has a whole bunch of cool videos, little short ones out there of different places. He's been visiting with friends and stuff, driving around through Nevada. And I'm not sure if he went through Idaho, but I think he's heading on his way back towards Washington now, if he's not there already. All right. But yeah, I mean, just that, there's so many people and companies that are just, they said they're going to mandate it or they're going to make everybody do this. And all right, that was a press release that the Biden administration put out. All it was a thing saying, we are going to do this. Guess how many steps they took towards it? None. They haven't done anything because almost immediately they were besieged by lawyers saying, we want to see that law. Because all the lawyers are lining up. If they make it mandatory, a federal law mandating that everyone has to get the jab, there are so many lawyers lined up to turn it over because they've got so many stupid exemptions. If you're a member of Congress, you don't have to do it. If you're a member of the post office, you don't have to do it. If you're a member of any federal law enforcement agency, you don't have to do it. And they can just about call every federal agency a law enforcement agency because they have law enforcement officers in there, for whatever. All right, WD still in Nevada. All right, and that's stupid. I wish I could just stop telling me that I got a bunch of pop-ups. You get notifications, goes, you have 7 notifications. Yeah, I get rid of them. Yeah, the only thing is on my other computer here, which I don't have because it's not popping in front of my live screen here. Yeah, it's all right. I keep deleting them over here, and they all go out just at 1 or 2. Here it pops up. I got 8. I got 9. And not deleting them when I stop to delete it. They cannot force anyone to get it. Steve, there are several federal agencies that do not have to do it. Because there's the possibility of them spreading it, and there's other things, but there's several of them that have gotten exemptions already. Hey, Jehodak, that's Maccabeus Everyday Survival. But yeah, there are. I know there are. The Homeland Security investigations don't have to get it. ICE does not have to get it. Some of them are getting it, but they don't have to do it. Oh, the Federal Protective Service do not have to get it. So, but anyway, so yeah, that's the one. I mean, it's such a double standard, and if the one meme I saw on Facebook really brought it out is that. It says, at no time in history have those that force others to do something, have they been the good guys? Mm-hmm. And there was another one I love, which says, imagine a disease so deadly that they have to blackmail you to get a vaccine for it. And that's what it is. Basically, all the stuff they're doing is blackmail. But I saw a real cool, interesting thing. Someone took from news clips, made a little short video. CNN Nightly News, sponsored by Pfizer. This sponsored by Pfizer. They went through about 20 different news broadcasts sponsored by Pfizer. That's not news, folks. That's propaganda. They tried stopping me. Pfizer is paying big bucks for their advertising to make them say what they want them to say. All right. I'm just catching up here.
Bruce, I
make it
have a
like the
question.
purge. Yeah, go ahead.
I saw the live you did with Tasha,
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
and I know fire extinguisher with nitrogen.
Yep.
For what it's good for?
Nitrogen you can use on fires that are around like the oil. They work good in kitchens too. So if you have like a fire on a stove in a pan, the nitrogen will actually work because what it does is it takes some of the air away from the fire. And a fire
Mm-hmm.
always needs heat, air, and an ignition source in order to live because it's like a living animal. If you don't have all three of those legs together in the fire triangle, it disappears. It can't burn. So that's what you're trying to do with the nitrogen. You're taking the percent of oxygen down in the fire so that it can no longer burn.
And also you cool it down, no?
It could, because usually when you get nitrogen out of the fire extinguisher, it's like a CO2 fire extinguisher. It comes out very cold because that's just when you move it quickly with air, that's what happens to it. And that's why if you have a CO2 fire extinguisher, you'll notice that you get the frost around the outside of the little bell where it's pouring out.
So
That's
what's
why.
the best fire extinguisher?
It all depends on what you're trying to fight fire with. I mean, if it's a liquid that's on fire, so it's a flammable liquid, you want to
You
use...
don't have something is all purpose?
No. Like in the military, if they had a plane that crashed on the runway, they're going to use AFFF foam on it, which is something that most people don't have access to. You'd need to be like at a fire department, because we had loads and loads of that stacked up in the back of our fire department because we did have a helicopter landing zone area where this one guy who actually owned a business had his own helicopter and would fly into there to get home and go out to work every morning. So we had to have AFFF on hand in case he crashed his helicopter. So that works the best for like a aviation fuel spill. But mostly what firefighters today are using on all house fires, the engines will have a foam system on them now. It's called a CAF system, compressed air foam system. And what it does is it takes almost basically like a Dawn detergent. You pour it into one of the barrels that's on the top of the engine, and it will mix with the water, and then it shoots it out in a foam kind of solution. And then that's what's pumped through the hoses. So that's why you'll hear if somebody's talking about going into a house with a hose and they have a CAF system, you'll hear them saying, don't bend the hose around a corner. That's why they'll say that, because the hoses are basically just running with air pressure, pushing foam through them so that you can get that out and put it on the fire. And what the foam does is it chemically breaks down the chemical, whatever it is that's burning. If it's wood, it actually soaks into the wood and prevents it from burning because it's soaking into the wood. Whereas if you just hit it with water, the water's going to bounce off of the wood, bounce back at you, and it may not get rid of the fire that's actually burning underneath it, the coals that are going.
Yeah.
Good to know.
You know, one of the things that is out there for people who want to learn how to do how to use a fire extinguisher. I know a lot of the CERT programs are using these automated systems, and that is this one here. This is the one that's big in California. It's called Bullocks, and these the three dots.
I call bullocks.
The 4 dots across the front here are sensors, and what you do is you have an extinguisher, and it shoots out water. And those sensors, if you don't hit it across on those sensors there with the water, it doesn't turn off the propane fire. As soon as you get them and you do a couple passes at the base, the fire goes out. You know, and I guess people think to aim at the bottom, but if you're aiming up higher like she is, it's not going to go out. And he's telling you need to go lower and do the lower part of it. And there are several companies like that. I mean, Bullocks even has one here. This works. I think it uses a laser thing. So you aim at these sensors here, and it's a computerized screen, so you're not having to refill water all the time. But with the water ones, you get the feel of it kicking back, like a regular fire extinguishers, and we've actually used some of those water practice ones to put out a fire. We were doing our drill and practicing, and some kids were playing around with some bottle rocks and started a leaf fire over, which not put it out. But these systems. I mean, if your local CERT has a bullet system, whether it's the electronic one or the water one, they should be more than happy to put. You get several people, about 20 people together, put on a class for them. What is this? Oh, okay. They added a new feature. Ooh, they added a new feature. They stick us down at the bottom instead of on the sides. That wasn't there last night. Carol's in the house. Hey, fishes. Who else did we miss here?
Big Dream.
Jay's here. And Diggs. Big Dreams Homestead came in. And I think
T-Boar's
that's all.
in.
Yeah, I saw T-Bor. I said hi to him earlier. Kaylin's here. Actually, I used to have, we had our CERT program wound up with two of those. The city had bought one, and we had enough money in our budget to buy the second one. So the Martinez CERT program has two. And then the county bought it, wanted to buy the one back because they wanted to be able to share it with some other ones. So we're down to one. But they sold it back at a profit to them too. So, well, yeah, okay, but we got it all cleaned up. We got all the stuff for it, made racks for it, and it's going to cost you a little bit more to buy it back. But one of the things that we were doing, we do the class, and then about 2 weeks after the class was over, everyone would go out and tell all their friends, and they have all these people, wanting to do it to just learn how to do a fire extinguisher. So we'd have an 8-hour day fire extinguisher practice class, running through that particular module, go through all the stuff we do in the 3-hour class at night. And then we went out and spent time out there teaching people how to do it. And we ran the ones that weren't in the program through a lot of times, not just once or twice. We ran them through about 5 times so they would get practice.
When you were doing it, Gil, did you find that when you actually taught people how to use the fire extinguishers, they got more brave and they were like trying to stay in situations they shouldn't stay in? They should have, they tried spraying they should have got out.
There were actually times where they were trying to walk up on it to begin with, but we had some very nice videos that when we showed them, they backed off even farther.
When we would do classes for civilians that were not in the fire service, we would notice that a week or two later, if we got called to their house for a house fire, the yo-yo would still be standing in the house at the kitchen at the stove trying to spray it, and we're coming in full bunker gear, and we're like, what are you doing here still? You're supposed to try spraying, and if fire doesn't go out, get out of here. Yeah. No, we never, we didn't deal with that portion of it. We didn't get feedback from Consolidated Fire about that. But in the classes and stuff, we had some, ones where they were showing someone going up to spray a 50-gallon barrel burning. And the guy was in full bunker gear, did it on purpose, went up and had a CO2 and put it right on top and blew it, and shit just went everywhere. Yeah. And everybody went, crap, I'm not doing that. Well, that's what he was showing you what not to do. Here's Uncle Al. And so we would show them what happened like on a grease fire. You want to be back in the kitchen, you want to be back good away, and you start below the pan and you work your way up to the pan, not aiming at the pan and just blow shit everywhere. Yeah, because then you spread the fire everywhere that oil goes, because it could still be on fire. You spread it all over the kitchen. Now, instead of a little section of the kitchen being on fire, you got the whole corner of the kitchen.
In the kitchen, when I was working on, every 3 to 4 months, we gotta have a drill.
Yep. Yeah. We would have to go there to different restaurants around the area that we were responsible for responding to first, we would have to go there when they would do their drills, because we would have to tell them, okay, you did this good or you did that not so well, and things like that, because they had a lot of the restaurants in our area had the halon systems that were up above them, like in the air extracting above the grill. They would have the halon systems up there, and especially with a halon system, because that takes all of the air away. You got to get the hell out of there if you're a human, because you need air.
Yeah. So it's Moose. Yeah. Got a new one just coming in here. So saying hi to him. When I worked in 1999, when I was working at the Bank of America data center, I was in charge of their Y2K preparations. I was working with their safety officer, and a lot of the rooms where a lot of the the computer banks were stored, where there were glass walls all around it. It was about like a 20 by 30 foot room, 2 doors into it. Both doors had a man trap on it, which means you had a door.
That's me.
You go into a small area, and there's another door. The first door has to close before the second door will open, so you can get in there. Those had halon systems in there, and what he was saying how to do, the halon didn't absorb oxygen; it just displaced it, and it would come down from the top and settle on the floor and just fill the room up with halon.
Okay, guys, we just got a joker here. I just deleted some of his tones.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right.
I was going to say hi to Christy and everybody, but I had to reset up because I just noticed.
I just hit him, Gil, so don't unhide him.
What you hit him? Okay, I was just going to time him out for a little bit and see if he would behave.
I hit him, so if you want to let him back in,
no, he just made a weird comment.
Yeah, he's just doing stuff still. So, yeah. Okay, I didn't catch the full name there. Yeah, all right. So I'm just going to go ahead and take care of something else here. Well, it's interesting. He joined the channel for 5 minutes to make a rude remark, because you have to be a member for 5 minutes. All right, so let me retract that. Yeah. Okay. So one of the things on the that one, I was going to go to something else here too. But anyway, so basically it fills the room up, displaces all the oxygen, and it had sensors at the top. Once the halon reached those sensors, it would stop. It would just lock everything down. It would turn off the halon sprayers, close all the vents because it was forcing the air out the vents, close all the vents. And just basically the room is just full of halon until someone comes over, enters the code, and if you get 2 people keys, they turn it, and it vacates the oxygen. Hey, Christy. But one of the things that was interesting that about firefighting for the civilians, back in, I got to count back, so it was 1969. In California, they were teaching to take a coffee can, one of those ones about that big around. You pull the metal lid off, you got your plastic lid on it, and they said, save the plastic lid from another one. In the bottom, punch holes with a 16-penny nail, a whole bunch of holes on it, put a cap on it, fill it full of baking soda, put a cap on it, and that way, and they were saying that way, if you have a grease fire, you pop the can off the bottom, you kind of shake it. And if it's not enough coming out, then you pop the other and kind of shake it back and forth. Well, after a few people just took them off the big end and dumped and hit all that hit that grease and it just went boosh. The state of California banned fire departments teaching using baking soda.
Right. And also they had that one guy, I think Bruce got him, don't put flour in those cans. Like 7 people. And the easiest way to get a bucket of sand and baking soda, reach into the bucket.
Don't even do that. No, don't even do that. They say they found more problems in California, people throwing stuff on a fire. It's now get fire extinguishers. They're made for it. They're designed for it. They put out the proper amount of stuff, get fire extinguishers, and follow the directions.
That's why we hated teaching civilians how to use anything other than a fire extinguisher, because they would waste too much time. And they would stay in the room when it was not good for them to be there, because the atmosphere was getting too toxic. They needed to get out of there. And we would get to the fire. So you're talking 2 or 3 minutes after the fire started and they notified the fire department. It would take 2-3 minutes for us to get there.
Yeah.
So we stopped teaching them to go get a fire extinguisher. We'd say, if you didn't have it within arm's reach, get the hell out of the house.
Yeah. One of the things, though, that they do still teach is take a cookie sheet and if you don't have the lid for that pan nearby, get a cookie sheet, lay it on it, and get out.
Mm-hmm.
And make sure you close your door on the way out, because you don't want to vent the fire.
Yeah, and if you can, and if the fire is just confined to the pan and not dripping all over the stove, turn the gas off or turn the burner off. Put the cookie sheet on it, turn it off, and get out, and just go. If a pan, you really don't want to do that, because if you're trying to move it around and it sloshes, you just spread the fire everywhere.
Right.
Yeah. I know I've heard a lot of people say, "Oh, just put it in the oven; it'll slowly smother." Well, not really, because the oven's not airtight.
Yep.
No.
The oven has vents from the bottom and vent out the back.
And there's a natural gas line in there in most ovens too. And you just set a fire next to a natural gas line. Not good idea.
Yeah, when it's out of control.
Yep.
So I know one time that's what they used to talk about, was putting it in the oven until people were spilling it. But they told me to do it. I picked it up and sloshed grease all over the place. Oh, well, don't pick that up anymore.
We had several oven fires because of that, because people remember that from when they were younger or something, that their mom always said if something started on fire, to put it in the oven and close the door and you'd be okay. Well, that's how we had several oven fires. We'd get a call that there was an oven on fire. So, of course, we run out there, and the first thing we do, because the homeowner wouldn't think of it, we would shut the gas off, number one, because we don't want a natural gas-fed fire. That's harder to fight. As soon as we'd shut that off, then the fire died down in the oven, because they had a leak in their pipe or something when they had the guy install their stove. So there was actually natural gas leaking, and they put it into a box where there was a fire, and then there was leaking natural gas, and it'd be going till we shut it off.
Yeah. So Mary Beth, no, baking soda, that was one of those ones they learned their lesson from, and they don't, in California, they actually made it against the law for fire departments to teach using baking soda, because too many people were throwing too much on there and splashing the grease out of the pan. Interesting, if you guys really want to see what a grease fire does, I'm going to see if I can find it here.
They have a good one on YouTube.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find the one that Mythbusters did, where they got a 35-foot fire plume. So give me a second here.
Just remember, 80 said he has a fire blanket in the kitchen. Just remember, with the fire blanket, it does not make you invincible. If you have a fire blanket, it's not like you can wrap it around you and now you're invincible. You can stay in the middle of a fire. That's not how it works. If you use it to put over the pan, okay, that should work, because it'll, smother the fire out. That should work. But don't wrap that around you if the whole room's on fire and think you can stay there now because you have this fire blanket around you. Because the smoke's going to be getting you through your lungs, and then the heat itself is going to build so quickly, you're not even going to realize it. So when we would go into an interior fire with our bunker gear on, we could feel how hot it was inside the room, and we could tell by how hot it was in our gear if we needed to stay or we needed to get the hell out of there, because it was getting ready to flash over. And that's what you really got to be worried about with those types of fires, is they flash over. They get hot so quick, all the smoke up above your head will light off.
Okay, so I'm just I'm skipping a bunch of the thing here until I get to the fire.
Thank you.
Okay, so it's hotter, and it just when it instantly vaporizes that water, it's explosive.
Yep.
Okay, that one's not going to show it. All right, I feel ripped off. That's supposed to show it.
Mike.
But,
there we go.
Yeah.
It's all right.
Yeah.
Mary Beth has a very good idea. She keeps a fire extinguisher next to the stove and one next to the dryer.
Yep.
Those are both good locations to have a fire extinguisher, because if you're going to have a problem, it's going to be one of those two places 9 times out of 10.
Mm-hmm. Oh, another thing, folks, if you're using a kerosene heater inside the house, have the fire extinguisher near you and be very careful. Do not put anything on top of the heater, because in the old days of Japan, they had a lot of old folks. Oh, we can put a tea kettle on it. No, don't do that.
Okay,
That's
can
why
you hear me
we have
now?
You know what they
shoot.
do in the army with the electric heater? They take bread with cheese and put it on top.
It's that hot. And a lot of people don't realize that. They think the outside of a space heater's cool, and it's not. Space heaters get very hot on the outside. That's why they'll start fires with like curtains and carpets and things like that.
Yeah. All right. I think this is going to show the flare up here. So this is the water being dumped into that pan.
They took a little fire and made a big fire.
Yeah. And see what else they had. They're doing some. Okay, here's the other one they're doing.
Be right back.
Nice.
Cook the camera.
Yeah. So, Mythbusters had some really, really cool, too cool, I think, for some kids. Experiments and stuff showing that, and they actually got it to go up 30 or 35 feet up the side of the building, but they had a bigger pot of grease and they dumped about a gallon of water into it, and it blew up.
Yep. And that's something a lot of people don't think about unless they're a professionally trained cook, because they go into it with professionally trained chefs and cooks. They make sure they know, do not use water if you get a grease fire on your stove or oven or whatever. Do not use water. They get into that seriously with them, because that's how a lot of fires would start in restaurants if they had someone who wasn't professionally trained.
One of the first things you learn in the cooking school.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. My grandfather owned a rental equipment and catering company. Sounds like a weird combination, but it was called Rolly Harper Rental Equipment Catering, and they catered only to the movie studios. They rented equipment only to the movie studios, and
like craft services on the set or whatever.
Yeah. Well, actually, he made the first roach coach for the he owned the Glendale Motorcycle Club, and they'd go out for their events, and he cobbled together the first roach coach. And my mom was the cook, and they'd go out there and do that. And what happened was out where they're doing one of the races about 10 miles up the road, the movie studios were shooting, and they forgot to order their box lunches for them. And so they came down there as soon as the lunch time was over for the races, and my mom was starting to pack up, and they go, "Do you got any food left? We need a bunch." And so they, he and her just packed everything up, ran it to the studio shoot out there on the lot out in the location area, and fixed everybody lunches. And they said, can you get more food and be back here tonight for dinner? We're going late tonight. And that's how his company started.
Yeah.
But when I grew up and was like a teenager and was working there during the summer, he had 4 German chefs. 2 were pastry chefs. The others were regular, and so they made everything for the, hey, big chap. Hey, Will's in the house.
Yep, been here.
Okay, and so they made everything, and they do anything that wasn't on the studio proper lot where they could go to the cafeteria. They're on location, and for years he had that sewn up.
Yep.
But yeah, they were these guys, these German chefs and cooks. They were fanatics on, this is our area. You do not come in here. You stop at the line and you raise your hand to get our attention. Yeah, and it's like, It was
The
their.
Germans are very yakey.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And so they, it was, they were, and they, but they, you want to talk about something having to be cleaned. I mean, they had apprentices come in at the end of their shift, and these guys, spent a couple hours cleaning all the pots, all the pans, getting everything cleaned, the stoves, the hood, they cleaned everything.
Yep. Because if you don't, the food will taste funny. It's same thing when I do cooking. See that? I'm having what you call stir fry with chicken and asparagus, and I have a piece of roasted salmon. If you can't see that.
Yeah.
But I'm very particular how I cook. I don't like people when I'm cooking. I don't film when I'm cooking. I don't talk to anybody when I'm cooking.
Well, you'll never make it like Mama Z's Texas kitchen does.
No, I'll probably destroy the camera because I don't like anybody in the kitchen when I'm cooking.
Kitchen fires are, I think they're the number one household fire.
Right.
They're one of the leading causes in house fires is kitchen fire or at the electrical panel because they had substandard electrical work done.
Yeah.
Yep. Or the plugs.
In Israel, you need to be a licensed electrician to touch anything.
Well, that's the way it is in the U.S. too, but they don't always do that.
Okay. But in Israel, if something happened, you can go to jail.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Because
it took me 2 years to get my Class A General Engineering Contractor's license, which included electrical as well. So I was electrical, plumbing, and concrete work, foundations and stuff.
Hi, Bob. Anyway, Yossi's right because everybody knows what happened in Lebanon and Syria with the unlicensed electrician. They had more electrical fires than the wars they had because, oh yeah, another hotel burned down. Oh yeah, the restaurant burned down. Oh yeah. What do you mean the shower's on fire? Because in Beirut, they had the electric shower where you plug into the wall and the head of the thing would heat up the water and you take a shower. If that's wire.
How many people died in the shower because they put the boiler and the boiler electrified them?
Yeah, it's in the head of the shower. And I get kind of nervous when I see, why is there a plug near the shower? Oh, that's for changing the cold water into hot. Okay, I'm not taking a shower today.
Yeah. Okay, if you run your own, it still has to be signed off by a certified electrician.
Right.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, so, there's, we're coming into that season. Things are getting colder. We have the big party lights in December coming up. And there is, how do I say it? It's just, you need to double your efforts in being safe. Fireplaces. Do you have it screened for the fireplace? Is it an insert with a closing glass door? Well, the glass door is on there for a purpose. Don't leave it open. You build your fire, you close it, you turn on the fan, and it blows the air around the outside of it. And space heaters 3 feet from any surface.
Right. Yep. And make sure you have the proper outlet and cording and use whatchamacallit. Yeah. One of those things with the plugs.
Yeah. The one of the things to do if you're planning on using an electric space heater or one of those little ceramic electric heaters, there's this real cool gadget called Kilowatt. You plug it into the wall, you plug your thing in it, you turn the kilowatt on, you turn it on, it tells you exactly how many watts it's using, and you can switch it to amperage. And so you can figure out, all right, so this is running so many amps. Then you go to your electrical box, and you make sure that, hey, this circuit is a 15 or 20 or 30 amp circuit. And then what you do is you turn that circuit off, and you take a little night light, and you go plug it into all the outlets to see which ones are off. So you can see how many outlets are on the same circuit.
Yep.
That's one of the things I hate about this house. The refrigerator, the microwave plug, the other plug for the blender on the counter. Then on the other the island is also on that same one. That's 4. The 2 plugs over on the other counter, the plug for the other refrigerator, and the plug for the freezer are all on the same circuit.
So trying to get the job done quick, they didn't want to put in another breaker.
Yeah. So I'm planning on next summer. Since I had a water leak in the floor, I'm replacing the stuff. I made 2 of the panels when I put on the floor that I can get the one that's under the refrigerator, so I can roll it out of the way. I can take that off and I can get to that area. I'm going to run a fish snake from there over to the one wall, pull it up there, and just put the nut ties on it, to seal off that one circuit, and put a new circuit in there that's just on that, so I can have the 2 refrigerator outlets and there she is. The 2 refrigerator outlets and the freezer outlet on their own circuit.
Yep.
That way, when they kick on, it's not affecting the microwave and everything else. But not only that, if it's not its own circuit in the thing, then if I need to, I can set it up with a power feed for that circuit only with a transfer switch, so I can keep those running in a power outage. Just hook it up to my generator.
Yep.
Yosi, it's so good to see your face. How are you doing, honey?
Better, much better.
That's good. I'm
I
glad.
have my voice back.
Aw, I'm glad.
You hear in the beginning when I told them that I gonna change my night and day?
Oh, no, I didn't hear that. That's cool.
Because I need to be with my people.
Your people. Aw.
Yeah, but like I said, folks.
My husband turned the light off on me. Hold on a second. There we go.
If you live in a very old building, you want to check the wiring and everything and the outlets.
And don't trust your grandfather to be wiring stuff in your house.
Right. And
hey, I'm a grandfather, and I got my Class A General Engineering Contractor's license, passed the electrical certification test.
Well,
several electricians say they love the way I rewired my house. I had a 15 amp circuit going just to each ceiling light in each room. Each wall, if it had each of the walls has to have 2 plugs on this wall, 2 plugs on that wall, 1 circuit, 2 plugs on that wall, 2 plugs on that wall, 1 circuit. So 2 20 amp circuits for each room.
The best thing about this house is every wall is concrete.
Yeah, true.
I was about ready to make a bad joke.
Yeah,
it's a bunker. It's got to be made out of concrete. You got to protect yourself from those infidels' bullets.
Yeah.
Hi, Dustin. King Poobah's here.
Yeah.
Hey, King Poobah.
Yeah, my husband says everything in the house is on 1 breaker, I swear. And for real, it is. Like,
Oh my God.
Welcome to our world.
Hey, well, the house across the street.
That's not a fire waiting to happen.
No, not at all.
The house across the street was built. The first part of it was built in 1903.
Yeah.
And remind me, Cody, how long does your house is?
It was built in 1903, the one across the street, the one where my daughter is at. When we first bought it, I went up into the attic, and I about peed my pants.
Oh, no. Was there wires and stuff just everywhere?
All right. Pin and tube wiring.
Oh.
That's the wires that have the plastic stuff, the plastic, the paper, and then the tar paper over it.
Oh, man.
Individual strands, no ground wire. So you have 2 of them across the ceiling, and you had some, same wires, stripped off, twisted around, electric clip around it, and the wire running down to where it went down to the kitchen ceiling down below, or whatever. That's the bedrooms and stuff. Then there's the dingle butts that owned the house before decided they wanted more plugs around, and so they ran up some Romex up the wall, pulled it up there, and did the same thing, stripped it, wrapped it around the wires on the two different ones, and electrical tape. Problem was, I'm going down here, okay, the right wire has a white wire on it and black wire going down there, so this should be the neutral. I go 4 feet farther, they switched them on the same wires.
Yeah.
And it's like, so basically, they didn't have a 30 amp breaker for the entire house.
Right.
Basically what I did is I pulled off the main breaker, put in a 120 amp breaker, pulled down, went into the basement, put in a new box, and every plug in the basement, all the lights, the plugs for the bathroom and laundry room were all on one breaker.
You need to thank God you don't use the 220 amps like Israel.
Yeah, and so
what I do 110.
First thing I did, I put in a breaker just for the washing machine and dryer. One breaker just for a GFIC breaker for the bathroom. Then I pulled all the wall plugs out of the basement, out of the basement, and started putting in these two here on one circuit, these two here on a circuit, these two here on a circuit, on the different walls and stuff. Then I divided the lighting down there and onto two separate breakers. So one half of the basement, if it trips, the other half is still lit, so you can still see somewhat. Yeah, I spent 6 months rewiring the basement and part of the first floor.
Yeah.
And just doing that, I totally rewired the garage and shop over there, because that was another one I ran because they had a 250 amp circuit breaker coming into the place.
Yeah.
And so I put another 150 amp, 125 amp out to the garage and shop.
Yeah, this house is built in like 1940. The original part of the house is the one that has like all the old, extremely old wiring in it. So, and at one point it had electric heat in it, but we had to rip all that out. So we don't have any heat in that room at all. Yeah. So then we run the stove. And I mean, I run that stove hot. It gets to be about 80 degrees. I open the door and it goes upstairs. And then when it starts getting really hot in that original part of the house, then I know that the stove is working good.
Yeah. Now on the comment here that Kaylin Strain put in here, the tent needed to upgrade from 10 amp to 20 amp.
Wow.
California doesn't allow 10 amp breakers. It has to be a minimum of 15.
Okay.
Safety.
Good.
So yeah, 15 amp is blue. Red is 20 amp. Green is 30 amp. So you can look at the panel. You don't even have to read it. You can tell by the color code on it. And that's pretty much standard for the United States as far as those three color codes.
Yeah.
What gives you a headache if you ever remodel a rental house? I had to go through everything. I'm like, are these guys nuts? I looked at the plug, the circuit breaker. One house had their ceiling lights hooked up with aluminum wire to each lighting system.
I hate aluminum wire in a house.
Yeah, copper to aluminum. You have Bruce coming over there in the middle of the night when they flip on a light switch.
Yeah, well, if you do copper to aluminum, you got to use the special paste and totally seal everything up. Then you got to wrap it with the rubber tape. Then you got to wrap it with the electrical tape. Then you got to put cloth tape over it, and then the vinyl electrical tape over it again.
Right, they didn't do that. They used a little plastic screw cap on it. I'm going, it cost me $25,000 to do one house. Yeah. It was a 2-bedroom.
Yeah. Our old house, like our rental now, just one breaker is like on one outlet. Like, I don't know how they figured that out, but we were like messing around because we're trying to do. So we turned off and we're like, what does it go to? Where does it go to? It's just one outlet. Like, what is wrong with these people?
Okay, Big Dreams, what I do, just because I am tired from the first house we lived in was built in 1940. Actually, no, it wasn't. It was built before 41. It was from what was called the Port Chicago area in California. When they had the World War II explosion there in 42, I think it was.
Yes, it was 42.
They moved all those houses out and sold them off. They're the little ones. And the guy that owned the property bought these houses, which were already old at that time, and put them together and made one big house out of it. My dad was an electrician as well, and he went through that. And I was a little kid watching him go through and tear out all this pin and tube wiring and put in Romex. And I listened to, he would think no one else was around when he was working, but I was there watching.
Yeah.
I learned a lot of interesting words.
Right.
I learned from the beginning is to hate cheap wiring.
Yeah, everybody does that.
So as far as how many circuits to put in there, I learned you have one circuit for your light, 15 amp breaker. For the light, the ceiling fan, that stuff is on one breaker. You don't have 3 rooms on one breaker. You have each room on its own breaker for lights. That's way overkill. You can probably get by with a 10 amp breaker if they allowed them, but 15 amp breaker for each room. And if you depending on the wall plugs, if you just have 3 plugs in the wall, you can have those on one circuit. But if you had 4 or more plugs, you start breaking it up on it. So if you have 2 on this wall, 2 on that wall, 2 on that wall, you break them up. So they're not all on the same circuit because somebody is going to plug in a space heater,
right? And
then some daughter is going to plug in the 1500 watt curling straightening iron or whatever else, and the hair dryer 1500 watts. So now you got you're already over a 20 amp circuit, and she's going to be going, So yeah, I upped it.
Right.
If it's in the kitchen though, kitchen is a whole nother animal. You have the garbage disposal on its own 15 amp circuit.
Right, dishwasher.
The garbage disposal dishwasher, that's on one circuit, 15 amp. You have the refrigerator on its own circuit because you don't want someone tripping it with a toaster and no one knowing it, and all of a sudden you come back the next morning. The next morning you open the fridge and it's all hot. Yeah. So the fridge is on its own circuit.
Yeah.
If you know where the microwave is going to go and you're doing the wiring beforehand, I try to put in 20 amp circuits with a 20 amp special plug, single plug only for microwaves, toaster ovens, or bread machines.
Right.
So those are, we know that's when I redid our kitchen in California. Boom, boom, boom. They're done separately. Then you have some other smaller ones out, like for the blenders and the small stuff, and have several of those on one circuit. But and those have just a regular receptacle on it. And I'm going to see if I can pull this up here to make it. No, if I close that. But basically, your 20 amp circuit is not just 2 lines on it. It's 2 of them are long, and one is long, and the other one has a side one coming off of it. Because a 20 amp plug is not your 2 verticals and your ground. It's one done and the ground. So you can tell that's like a 20 amp extension cord, not a 15 amp extension cord. And that's it's one of the things I do to make sure things are safe. Is it's like, yeah, it may cost me an extra $100 to run that wire and the electrical, but ain't nothing going to catch on fire and burn nothing down. And I actually since we had a big microwave, I actually made a 30 amp breaker on the one. I had to buy a special 30 amp 120, not the angled ones, but it was 2 sideways ones and a thing like that, and it vertical, so it could take any type of plug for when we had the giant microwave.
Yeah,
right.
Because it was a 1800 watt microwave plus the motor and everything else. So it was actually more like 1900 watts or 1950 watts. But since there's 2 outlets there, I knew someone else was going to plug something else in as well.
Yeah, we can't plug my microwave and my roaster oven. I have like a big roast, a 22-quart roaster. We had to buy basically a separate outlet thing for that, because if not, we couldn't do it. We were tripping the breaker every time.
Yeah, Tibor, that's the one thing they did right here. The washing machine is on its own breaker, as is the electric dryer is on its own breaker, obviously, because it's 220.
I just did a video on corn because I've been watching over the summer. A lot of people were experimenting with corn and stuff. I have to tell people it's not quarts. You want bushels. That's for feed and for food for people. Feed for animals, food for people. And I keep telling them, okay, you could do it by hand, but you got to get the right variety, because a lot of people are experimenting with popcorn and Indian corn. There's 158 true varieties, or 153 true varieties of corn. And I keep telling them, a lot of people are planting the soft corn, not the flint or dent. And they all look at me like I just kicked them in the, you know where, but they don't understand. You have to get bushels, because anybody who farms, if you're getting 3 quarts of corn, you're growing the wrong kind of corn. And feeding a family of 4, look how many the square feet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's for a horse too, or for cattle or pigs. I don't recommend it on pigs, because pigs are like us. You feed them too much corn, they get diabetes, arthritis, and you don't want to see a fat pig going and drop dead from a heart attack.
Okay, so we're going to do a little show and tell here real quick. Okay, so bring this up. So these are 20 amp receptacles. So you see they got one up, and they both have up and down, but they also has a sideways one on it. So you got the one up and down, one sideways. So that's 20 amp. The 20 amp can take 20 or 15 amp, whatever, it takes most stuff. Now over here. Actually, wait, there was one on this one here. Where was it here? There we go. This one they're not showing the good one. This is still doing a 220, but there is a 30 amp 110 that looks similar to this. It takes regular, and it has. Let me go back here, see if I can find that plug. They have that plug over there. I saw the plug somewhere here when I was just looking a second ago. They had basically both the ones on the side were crossways. Okay, let's go over
here. Be a male adapter for it. Try that. There's one in the corner.
Hang on. Let me get the other part in here. I started having in here. Went too far. 30 amp, 120 volt receptacle. Bingo. Maybe showed it there. They got the twist lock ones, which a lot of use, but there was I can't find it right now. They're hard to find, but they do make them that are. Here's one of the plugs, extension plugs, right there.
Now yeah.
You can do both of them, and that's the receptacle plug, and the male plug that goes in it is both sideways like that as well.
Hi, Laura B. Thanks for coming in.
Okay, so yeah, your wiring. And
welcome
stuff,
back,
guys.
Josie. Welcome back.
Your wiring and stuff. All I can say is you're in the wall wiring. Spend the extra money. Take it up a little bit. I only use 14 gauge wire, the solid wire in the walls, for lighting only. Any wall receptacles is 12 gauge, and the washer plug is 10 gauge, and the whereas the electrical dryer, they actually, a lot of them will, or they'll run, some will run 10 gauge to it. I make sure it's 8 or 6 gauge running to it. AC units, a lot of them around here like to run 10 gauge to your AC compressor and stuff.
My dryer runs
8 gauge.
gas.
So yeah, I always try to up it for anything. Lighting is the only thing I'll do 14 with. You would not believe how many houses I've gone in there, and they have 14 gauge wiring going to where the microwave is at. They just did 14 gauge everywhere. It's like, what the? Who was the inspector, and how much did they pay him off to allow him to do 14 gauge wire everywhere?
Yeah. Weird.
Or that was one that was mailing it in. He said he went and checked, and he didn't.
Yeah. Or he showed up, and there was a pie sitting on a table and a couple $100 bills stuffed under it.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, I don't know how that got there.
Right.
And then everybody disappeared while he was in the kitchen.
Yep. Enjoying that pie.
Yeah. What? Seriously. What about? So I didn't notice private chat. Oh, Yossi clicked the wrong one. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Big Dreams Homestead. I don't think. No, I don't think. I thought. No. Not unless he copied their logo. Because I know Big Dreams is doing the rewire on the trailer job right now. Yeah. We have somebody that tries to imitate some of our other people and, tries copying their name. They don't do the logo right. And, I know Big Dreams is working on her doing the rework and everything else.
Yeah, I watched her one video the other day of her rewiring her house, or she did something with her breaker box, or I don't know. I'm not an electrician. I have no idea what's going on, really.
Okay, Big Dreams, what's going on? There is somebody out here that goes to different channels.
That is the reason I did the logo in the first place.
Yeah.
So someone just some people were thinking that maybe possibly he was imitating you, but no, it's not unless he's going to try to pull your picture off of your website and go through that extra trouble and then talk all about the stuff you're actually doing. So
yeah, right.
Yeah. So electrical's a pet peeve with me. When I run wire from the breaker box to the wall receptacle, I'll run it up to the wall receptacle, then I'll run a loop up, back, and down into the box, and then I'll strip off the other part, and I'll strip off about that much off of the inside, and I will take my special pliers and make it zigzag so I can pull it out, accordion out, do the thing, and it accordions back in. Unlike some of these guys where you pull it about that far, and you're like, oh, crap, I got to work in here, and I got to tie extra. I hate that. Guys that get too short on, they'll pull a whole bunch of wire off and then cut it short. No.
Yeah.
You leave plenty of wire inside the box where you bend it so it makes it a zigzag pattern, so it accordions out, so you can work on the plug and accordions back in case you need to change a receptacle. Receptacles do get brittle. And of course, if you have a cord plugged in there and the kids decide to yank it and they yank sideways, it'll break the plastic.
Right.
And then you got to replace it.
Or you could buy a new house that was built in the 50s and have to replace all your plugs because nothing's grounded.
Right. Or one that was built in 1903 across the street. It's on pin and tube wiring. Yeah. So there is, for me, I'm harping on this. I know I'm harping on it. But this is a safety issue, right, Bruce?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because number one, you can get crossed wires. If you have somebody who doesn't know what they're doing, they put a new outlet in for you. They could backwards wire it, which is bad. It'll blow up your electric.
Right, or it's a cheap outlet.
Yeah. Cheap outlets, they could have the wiring inside of the plug done backwards. Seen that before.
The Chinese.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't going to say that, but you're right.
It is. I had to redo 140 outlets in this house.
Well, when we bought our house here, we got here and it was all two-prong. And nobody had told us that. I was like, oh, man.
I know Big Dream said she's redoing her electric. Is she licensed to do it, or can you? How does that work? Can you do your own?
A homeowner can do their own if they want to, but you're taking the risk on your own. If you don't know what you're doing, then you're creating the risk for yourself.
Right, and you have to get inspected and insurance approved. Because if you cause an electrical fire yourself, they don't pay you the insurance because you caused the problem.
Yeah.
So if you do something that messes it up and they catch it, they're not paying for crap.
Yeah, in Israel, if you do it, you go to jail.
Right.
Yeah. And the thing is, though, like I said, I always upgrade. 14 gauge only for the ceiling lights. 12 gauge for all the wall receptacles. 10 gauge for heavy use specialized heavy use wall receptacles. Microwave, toaster ovens. In the bathroom, I run 10 gauge to the bathroom, and I put GFI receptacles everywhere in the bathroom, and that line is on a GFI-C breaker as well, which really ticked off my son because he did something, and the one plug in the bathroom went, and he couldn't figure out why he couldn't get the power to work. And I said, "Oh, that's because this is a GFI receptacle." Went, pushed the button, and came back on. He did something with the thing and shorted out something, and it tripped the breaker, which is what it's supposed to. The receptacle breaker, which it's supposed to do. And let me see if I can do this here. GFCI. All right, here we go. So this is what those look like. So your receptacle, so you should have a red. Let's see here. Let's bring one up here large. Here we go. You have your one for your reset, and your black. The red is your reset, and the black here is reset, and black is the test. So you push the black one, it trips it, and the red one pops out farther. You push the red one back in, and it resets it. And all that resets is that resets that one, but some of them have set up wiring where you can actually, off the back of it, they're going to show one here. You can actually tie 2 wires off of it, and you can run a second regular looking outlet that is now protected by this GFCI breaker.
Yep.
So
I just know for a first time, like if you buy a house and get a first time home buyer's loan, like you have to get all of that, like the GFI, like all those next to your sinks, all that kind of stuff.
And
they won't pass your loan.
And here's the 20 amp one that has the LED good to go light, and then the red light comes on when it's tripped. So that tells you, it tells you really quick just looking at it that it's tripped.
Yeah, I've never seen one like that before.
Yeah. This is ANKO. It's a company, and let's visit. It's on Amazon. You can pick it up on Amazon. $13. That's not a bad price. But yeah. And it gives wiring. You got wiring diagrams and everything else. Don't shortcut your wiring diagrams.
Right.
Now you notice on both these you have your ground wire, and then another one grounded to the electrical box itself. Those metal outlet box, you ground it to that as well. It gives you a double safety on the grounding in case that the green wire breaks loose off the one that's coming out of the receptacle. Sometimes they do them where they break off, but if the metal part of the receptacle is screwed into the metal box and the metal box is grounded, it grounds it as well. So another lesson.
Right. I just got to notice Governor Nutjob in Sacramento is considering a state of emergency for California in the Bay Area and LA due to blank.
The red dragon going up.
Nope. He was talking about the supply chain, but it doesn't complete the title on my newsflash thing.
Oh, I thought it'd be like fecal matter in the street or something.
No, that's
that's San Francisco. That's San Francisco and Oakland all the time anyway for the last 20 years, 30 years.
No, they're having supply issues, so a lot of the big chain companies are closing their store, like Walgreens, In-N-Out Burger. I forget the other place. It's a tire company. They had it. They just close up and they leave town.
Yeah. Now he's going to get the National Guard to drive those trucks.
Don't laugh, folks.
Some people have no idea what the National Guard is trained to do and what it's not trained to do. What is there?
Big Chap, did you just say you have the clapper? I mean the clap. But
Bada bing.
No, it's a hand clapper.
My lights aren't going off, so I guess I don't have a clapper.
I was super excited. They have a Bob Ross one. And when you clap, it says, something about happy little trees or something like that.
Trees.
And this way we don't have some the clapper and things like that.
Okay, one of the things that's out there. I'm not going to show it here because I might you're getting picky about people showing this video. You can go out there and search for I think it's NSST safety test Christmas tree fire. And what they have is a Scotch pine tree that was harvested like they do, 4 weeks before they sell them. They set it up still on its little wooden cross, decorate it, put light bulbs on it, and they break one of the light bulbs to catch the fire. In 30 seconds, on the other side of the room is a big stuffed rabbit on the floor, and it starts to melt. You cannot see anything above 2 feet in that room from all the smoke. The drapes have all melted and fallen down. There's a lamp on right close to where the camera is on the other side of the room from where the Christmas tree is. You can see the lampshade melt and starts dripping plastic and bursts into flame. So the temperature up there, one of the firefighters that first showed it to me and gave me a copy of it said that they measured the temperature in there. It was something like 15,000 degrees.
15,000, the whole place would have flashed over.
It did. Sorry, a couple seconds later, it was flashing and it was flaming out of there. It was an incendiary box. It may have been 1,500, but he said 15,000. But I mean, and then it has another camera out. Pretty soon, that camera inside stopped functioning, and they were outside. And by a minute and I think it was like 15 seconds or so, the flames are coming out of that doorway like a jet. And they turn on the fire hoses and they start spraying it down. And the guys go in there with the 2.5-inch fire hose putting it out. But and there's a bunch of those test videos, and there's some other ones. They have side-by-side ones. A tree that has been watered constantly and has that green stuff added to the water, and one that is just sitting there not watered, and they light them both up at the same time. And you watch them go, and so your Christmas trees. If you're doing
that was on the NIST, I believe. National
NIST. Okay, that's it. Yeah, that was it. NIST, and that. Well, I always loves watching someone go, and then they also have one a video. Sometimes it's on the same video of a cigarette in a couch. And as that one starts going, it starts very slow, burning slow. And you see the trail of smoke coming up. Pretty soon, notice the top of the ceiling. You can't see the corner of the room anymore because the smoke is up there, but it's not black. It's kind of a light gray smoke. And then pretty soon, everything starts melting on it. The material on the couch, as the heat starts getting to it, starts splitting. And what's interesting is this is an old couch because when the stuff split, you could see the cotton batting that's over the foam rubber. So it's an old couch. It's a 70s or 60s couch.
Well, right. Most people don't understand when you see that smoke, the gray and the black and the smoke, what that is that's unspent fuel that the fire did not burn up. That's why you can get what's called a flash inside of a room. because all of that's up in the atmosphere now, and if it gets warm enough, it will self-combust.
That's good to know. I didn't.
Yep. It's one of the things we have to watch for when we go in interior. First thing we do is we look up and look at the smoke. If it's black smoke, we know that a fire could be over our head shortly. So that's why you would see in some of these movies or shows that are on TV, you'll see firefighters go in and they'll open up the hose and they'll just squirt it up at the smoke. It's because what that's called is penciling. You're penciling the smoke, and what you're doing is cooling down sections of the smoke so that it will not flash over on you. It gives you another 5 to 10 minutes that you can be in the room and it doesn't flash over on you.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and run this as 1 minute.
Yeah, it's a good one, folks.
All right, so down in the base here, down here, you're going to see a flash here in a second. There's 0 sign. There's the timer going. 6 seconds. Look at those flames up there. 10 seconds.
It takes 2 to 3 minutes for the fire department to get there, and you got that going.
Yeah. All right, you're coming up on 20 seconds, and look. That couch, the chair's gone. It's already in flames. Everything down here's on flames. There goes the flames on the, before that drop, there were flames on the, you backed up a second.
Yeah, that big square thing is a TV set, folks.
See, watch the thing here. See the fire there, and now the lampshade drops. In a couple seconds, now the bunny's starting to melt. The bunny's starting to melt. He's leaning back towards the fire, and here comes the firestorm around the bunny.
And that's the black smoke I was telling you about. That's unburnt fuel. So
yeah,
that entire smoke that's right in front of you there, that can light off instantly.
Yep.
Yeah. Are they going to pull? They're going to pull out to the outside? No, they're not going to pull out to the outside shot.
Right.
So,
and
yeah.
Big Chap has a question on spontaneous human combustion. That's a candling effect. When the fat in the human body reaches a certain point, it kind of self-destructs.
Yeah, the person has to have a lot of body fat, and there's a lot of
adipose fat is what it's called.
Yeah, but there's a lot of things that have to fall into place, and it's not spontaneous. So there's something that sets it off.
Like,
whether it's a cigarette that falls down in his lap and starts burning, gets the cloth. And
you say the person has to be like fat?
Yeah, and especially and.
How come you always see it with old people though?
Because they smoke and they had the oxy tank on, and
that's not dealing with a quote spontaneous combustion.
Right. Huh. It's like, oh, they burnt in bed while smoking and have the oxygen tank on, and they were drinking a lot. Yeah, if you drink 151 brandy on it, and like, smoking oxygen.
Tibor,
I'll be fine.
I can light my breath.
Yep. Tibor was asking why the fire department chops holes into the roof and then shoves a water hose in. The reason that we do that, it's called venting, and because when you go in on the first floor and you're a firefighter and you're doing interior firefighting, when you open that hose up, the first thing that happens is when it hits that flame that's well seated, it creates steam through the entire house. That's why you have to make sure everybody's out of the house before you open up a hose inside, because you will instantly lobster bake anybody in the house if there's a live person in the house when you start hitting the water onto the seat of the fire. The reason you have the firefighters on the roof is because what you're doing is you're venting the heat out of the fire, because fire needs heat in order to stay viable within the home. So if you can take as much heat as you can up and out of the house, that causes the fire to lose one of its legs. And then you're there with the water killing the heat from the fire itself, and you can knock the fire down quickly. That's why you'll see holes in the roof where there was a fire, because what they're doing is they're doing that, number one, to help protect the firefighters that are inside so that they don't get baked, and they're trying to help vent all of the oxygen out. They're trying to help vent the heat out so that the fire itself loses one of its legs, because there's a triangle to a fire. You have the fuel for it, the oxygen for it, and then the ignition source. If you can knock out any one of those three legs in the triangle, the fire dies. So that's what they're trying to do when they're doing that. And it makes it easier for the firefighters inside because instead of 950 degrees, like being in a big, huge oven, you're in there and it's maybe 500 degrees instead of 950. And with all your gear on, that's tolerable. But somebody who does not have the gear on would instantly get cooked.
Yeah.
Okay, I found this other one. So let's we're gonna have another little fun one here. This is the flashover. No, wait a minute, that's not supposed to be it. Dang. Are they showing both of them here? They're showing both of them. Sorry. So that one. Okay, so we're going to jump up to here. This one has both of them on it. This is the test where the cigarette is in the couch there, and they're getting ready to set the cigarette fire off.
And these are actually the films that they show us when we're in fire school to give us an idea of what happens and how things spread, how quickly it happens, so that when you're inside of a fire, you know if you start seeing these things happen, you know, we got to get out of this room because it's getting ready to flash over. That's why they show us these types of films.
I'm going to pause it here for a second. That initial flare up, they saw go up and it kind of died down. That I actually saw that happen when my grandmother dropped a cigarette on a pillow. It heated up and it got to the point and then it flashed and then it went, you know, all the vapors burnt and it went back down to just a smolder and started spreading. So it does flash up like that. Now, what's interesting here is watch the corner, keep a half an eye up in that upper corner there above the lamp. So all of a sudden, you know, in a little bit here, all of a sudden it's going to get dark. Now, originally, Contra Costa Consolidated Fire District had a 3.5-minute response time from the time they get the alarm to the time they arrive on scene. Of course, then they had budget cuts and they closed a couple stations, and so now and it extended it out for 4.5 to 5-minute response time. Now you see the black smoke going up there. Now this here is going to start graying out up there, and that's just a little bit of the couch they're burning. Now you got your polyester on the outside, but fortunately these couches have a cotton batting between the polyester and the foam rubber. Otherwise, it would go a lot faster. Now you can't see the top up there now, can you? It's basically kind of disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when you know how long a fire has been going too. If you walk into a room, you see a flame, and the smoke is back down the wall and is at about head level, that fire is well seated. It's been going for probably 5 to 10 minutes. So you want to get the hell out of there because it could flash at any point once that smoke starts walking down the wall. If it gets to head level, watch out because it could ignite at any point.
Now, as the smoke level comes down, this is very hot.
Here, and no, folks, do not flip the
yeah. All right.
Cushion.
Al, let me get this there. Now, second, you're going to see these trees. I mean, these the drapes on the left here are going to drop here as they start melting. See them moving and starting to wrinkle up here. They're starting to wrinkle up as the heat, you know, is melting it. And there goes the lamp. The lamp is shriveling on one side, melting, and it's going to drop off. It's a lighter material than the drapes are. Now, the material here as a polyester burns away on that couch, it's kind of white in there. That's the cotton batting. Now here come the look at the plastic dripping there and that whole thing drop. Now on the right here, when this black touches this couch, you're going to see something interesting happen over here. You can see the heat splitting the polyester around here, exposing the cotton batting that's over the foam rubber. And when this, oh man, they cut it short. But basically, as soon as that black touched the top of the couch, it all ignited. Because it was hot enough to ignite the couch. I hate it when they post short chopped ones, man. It ruins the effect. You missed out on the rest of the good stuff in there too. But yeah, so you guys can research those. That's the NIST flashover movies. They're different lengths on them. You want the one that's at least 5 minutes long because it goes and covers more footage and stuff. Those are just the ones that popped up there that I was looking at. What combinations going on here?
Yeah, for anybody who thinks they're going to fight a fire by themselves, don't even try.
No, it doesn't work.
I went to 12 weeks of fire school and learned how to do it, and had to go through simulated fires where they would light stuff off, a bale of hay in a burn building, and we had to practice duck waddling around because the smoke was pushed down the wall far enough that if you stood up in it, your helmet that you were wearing would actually melt down onto your shoulders. Yep.
Yeah.
So there's no sense in being inside because the firefighters are trained for it. Number one, they have the right gear, and they're not going to get smoke inhalation because they have an SCBA on, which protects their lungs. And trust me, smoke inhalation is not a good thing. Most people that they say have smoke inhalation don't actually have it. If you have true smoke inhalation, that means that the inside of your throat has been burned by the smoke, and it's starting to clamp down, and that's why it's such an issue. Because then they got to go through the side or the front of your neck, put in a tube so that you can breathe because your throat closed down. Yeah. Not fun stuff.
Right, and I have to warn people, you cannot my house burned down during a wildfire. We lost 12 people in that fire in my small town when I had it because they were thinking, I'm fine, I'll just hose down my mobile or pre-made house and I'll outlive the fire. Out of the 12 little houses, nobody survived. They're all dead. The smoke got them first and they were burnt to death. This is why when you have a wildfire, you take your stuff and get the hell out of there.
Yep.
Do not stay around to put out the fire with your garden hose. That's not going to help at all. And when they have to use the full water pressure, that water hose is going dribble, dribble, dribble. Right, Bruce?
Yep. The reason when you get there with a fire truck that we're able to put the fire out is because we have a pump on the engine. It's called a pumper, the first one that's normally on scene. The firefighters are jumping out of what's called a pumper. The driver will get up back, and most of them will get up back, and they sit there, and the motor that's in the fire engine has a PTO on it, which is a power transfer drive that goes to the actual pump that's in the back part of the engine, and they normally have anywhere from 750 to 1,000 gallons of water in that engine that they can pump immediately without even having to hook up to a fire hydrant or anything. So in 1,000 gallons of water, most house fires, we get there within 2 to 3 minutes. We can knock it down with 1,000 gallons of water as long as we don't have to do a search for somebody that's in there that didn't get out. If we have to do that, that takes priority because a human life is more important than saving a building. We'd rather save a person's life, so we would go and do that rather than get on the fire immediately. So remember that. If you're trying to fight a fire, hey, this is getting out of hand. I don't know what I'm doing. Get the hell out of there so that we don't have to go searching around in smoke that's all the way down to our heads when we're crawling around on our hands and knees in a house we don't know trying to find you.
Yeah.
That makes it tough.
All right, I got another little video here I found. So this is from Good Morning America. So give them props. Good Morning America. You get the any monetization off this one. Let's get it going here. So they're taking a space heater. They're putting it close to speed it up, but I've seen stuff smoke at 3 feet.
Yeah.
I had one of those at my old office job. The exact same heater.
All right, you saw her walking away because of the fumes.
Yeah.
Back that up again. Watch what when she in a second here what she's going to be doing here. Now smoke the smoke fumes are coming off there. Look, she can't take it. Yeah.
Oh, hi, Tim.
Yeah, so,
sorry, guys, I got to split. So I'll catch you guys later.
Bye.
Right. Hey, Tim.
Hey, Tim.
Tim's another fellow Idahoan. So yeah, there, guys, if you want to get your family in a fire safety conscious mode, look up Christmas tree, NIST, Christmas tree fire, flashover fire, But there is a cool one out there, and I haven't been able to find it for a while. There was a news one that put out a thing about the talking smoke detectors. and they had a psychologist on there talking about it, a doctor, a PhD, whatever. Kids' brains, and even teenagers to a certain extent, brains function differently than adults do. The won't bother kids and certain teenagers. They wake us right up. It's like, okay, my alarm, I got to go to work or whatever. But the buzzing sound that the smoke detectors make will not wake up a child or a teenager. And so they found out that if you had a recorded voice, instead of it going, it would say, like, Chelsea, get up, there's a fire. Chelsea, wake up, there's a fire, get out.
Mine would be like, Courtney, get the beep out.
Exactly. And
the beep out of here.
They did a test in Boston for this news show where one week they went in there at night with infrared cameras and everything else and pushed the button. 3 minutes, the kids are all still asleep. 3 minutes. And then they waited, and they woke them all up, brought them downstairs. Didn't you guys hear it? And they're talking, oh, we didn't hear anything. Then they waited a couple of weeks, went back again after the kids were all asleep, after they installed the talking ones. And, Chelsea, get up. Deanna, get out of bed. And all of a sudden the kids, only the one, the teenager, covered her head for a minute. Then all of a sudden she just threw the blanket off when she heard fire, when she realized she was hearing fire. And she, gone. She ran out the door right into her dad. Oh, it's the test. Okay.
Well, that's what you want, though. That's the reaction you want from your family members to get the hell out of the house. Because, number one, that means we don't have to go in as firefighters to find them. And they're not going to run into the issue of having an actual smoke inhalation where their throat is burned shut. And we have to go out, get them out of the house, run them out there so that the medics can shove a needle into their neck and actually get air into them again.
Yeah.
Because that's dangerous when you really get smoke inhalation. That's what happens. Your throat just completely closes down and locks off. You can't breathe. Doesn't matter how hard you try and suck air in, it won't go through.
Yeah, I find there are several other videos that are put out by, one's put out by First Alert, the other one's put out by Kitty, how do you pronounce it?
Kitty.
I always pronounce it Kitty, but I've heard on some of their commercials and pronouncing it a different way, like Kitey or whatever. But yes, there are some videos out there on talking smoke detector, so you can see there are these videos. Go check them out and see the importance of it.
And if you have a volunteer fire department that's in your town right around you, go there and just ask the chief, say, hey, can you give me a quick fire safety course, or could you come over and inspect my house? Because a lot of times if you let them inspect your house, they'll give you a free fire alarm, or a lot of times they'll have the dual ones that are not only a fire alarm but also carbon dioxide detector.
Yeah.
And they get them free from the companies that sell them so that they can go out, do a house inspection, tell the person what they need to do to, make their house safer. And then they also get these fire detectors that also have carbon monoxide detection on them. So they're getting double coverage on it. Yeah. And they'll even put them up for it. Well, we did when we were doing it, our department. Yeah. We would go and we would actually put them up for them so that they were properly installed and we knew they had good batteries in them. And then every year, people we installed them for, we would go back and we'd take the little 9-volt batteries and we would reinstall the batteries so that we knew they were safe for another year.
Yeah. One of the things that I've done is, besides the smoke detectors that are in several rooms around here, hallway and stuff, and I actually got you can't see it, but my green screen is there's a door there, and right outside that door, mounted on the wall, is a fire extinguisher. Came with the house. I love it. I have several of the carbon monoxide smoke detectors that plug into wall receptacles. And so I got them up in the kitchen with the high counter height ones plugged in there and around, and in the bathrooms plugged in, because they're not down low on the low wall receptor, up a little bit higher so they can actually work on the others. So I probably have too many in here. Now, it's kind of hard to say you actually got too many smoke and carbon monoxide detectors, but I got a bunch in here. And it's just
Suburban Hillbilly has a question out there, Gil.
Battery operated versus hardwired. Okay, good one. Because, all right, now my plug-in ones are dual function. It plugs in, it runs off the power in the wall. As the power goes out, it has a rechargeable battery in it that two AA rechargeable batteries that then runs on that for months. But in the wall, hardwired, you don't have to worry about batteries, but you do have to worry about power outage. Now, if you get the hardwired ones that come with the rechargeable battery and rechargeable system in it, that's a win-win. Because if the power goes out, it still works.
The way we always advised everyone is if it's a house that you own, go ahead and use a battery-operated one, because a homeowner doesn't want their house to burn down. They will remember to change those batteries. If it's an apartment that you're renting out to someone else, it's not theirs. They don't have any fat in the fire. So you put a battery-operated one in there, and nowadays they actually make them with the lithium-ion batteries in them that last for 10 years. So, most apartment owners, they're like, oh, duh, I'll do that, because then I don't have to go over every year and change it for them. I know it's good for 10 years from now, and then I go over and I put another battery in.
Yeah, that's a good point, Gear Grinding. You install a new fire alarm, use good, high-quality batteries, not the ones that come with it. So I've had some of those after 3 months, I go, telling you that the battery's low. Yeah,
because a lot of times those may be sitting on a shelf for 6-9 months before they're given to the fire department or before they're put out at a store. So they may have been sitting there deteriorating over 6-9 months. Whenever you get them, always put fresh batteries that you just purchased in them.
Yeah.
And what I like is on the hardwired ones with batteries, ones that take rechargeable batteries specifically, because it keeps those batteries peaked out. So, them. Yeah. So, and maintains them so you don't have to worry about, did I change that battery when I turned my clocks back or not? And that's the other thing. I'm going to harp on this right now. Twice a year, people tell me I'm going to go overkill on this, but hey, overkill has its purposes. When you set your clocks forward and you change them back, change all the batteries if they're not hardwired and they just have batteries. If you have rechargeable ones, pull them out, put new rechargeables in, charge those other ones up. Smoke detectors, carbon monoxide detectors, all that stuff. Then your dryer vent. Pull the dryer out, clean that dryer vent at least twice a year, if not quarterly. Yes, I said quarterly. Chimney. Good time to do it. We're coming into winter, get it cleaned. Coming out of winter, clean it. Because you never know what happens during the summertime. Some kids may want to do a little campfire there and roast marshmallows indoors in the summertime. And I froze again. I'm just trying to, kitchen, the kitchen, above your stove. The vent hood, it has the little grease trap vent on it. Get a couple extra of those traps. Pull it out, put a fresh one in. Take the other ones, get a bucket of pine salt, stick it in there, and leave it in there overnight. Let it dissolve all the grease off of it. Then you wash it out and clean it up and put it in for in the cycle to go through it. I just had fire extinguishers. Pretend this is your fire extinguisher. You take it until you make sure you can feel the powder moving back and forth. Mm-hmm. Because here we got railroad tracks not too far away. The house vibrates a little bit from the freight trains going by. What happens when it sits there and vibrates? That powder just packs right down. Yeah. And you go to use a fire extinguisher that's packed. You pull the pin, you lift it up, you aim, and that's it. Because it's now it just shoots it, pushes up a plug in there, and it just plugs it up when it gets to the valve. So turn them over at least twice a year. And if you do it slowly, you can feel the powder just to the one side. Oh, heat shift. Okay, the weight shifted, and you go back and forth, and it's moving around freely. You're good.
Tibor actually had a good comment he made over there that they told us in fire school every time we were in class. Every mechanical device has a cousin named Murphy. And that's damn truth. Trust me.
Yeah.
And anyone here that doesn't know, which there should be everybody, Murphy's Law, if anything can go wrong, it will go wrong at the worst possible moment. Yeah. Of course, I believe in Murphy's Law Part 2 as well. If you're totally prepared for an event and you spend a lot of money on it, it most likely won't happen.
Yeah.
Hey, it's like buying the most expensive car insurance. No one's ever hit my car.
Right.
And you feel like you've wasted that money. Well, it's sort of like Murphy's Law Part 2. It just added insurance. It's not going to happen because you're spending the money.
Yep.
So what? There was something else too to thinking here. Oh, drain your hot water heater, unless you happen to have a tankless system. But drain it twice a year. Get all the buildup out of it. What's the other stuff you're supposed to do at that time? Oh, your flashlights. If let me grab this one here. Even if it's an LED, check it out, test it, make sure it works, make sure it's nice and bright. If it's not, change the batteries out on it. I get these when I get these from Harbor Freight. Yes, I love these things from Harbor Freight. I usually on a get it free coupon. So if I buy a small tarp, I get a free one of these. So I buy a lot of tarps there anyways. So I get a bunch of these. I'll leave the batteries that are in here. They'll last about a year or two. When they go dead, then I replace it with the rechargeables. That way I'm not buying new batteries for all the time. I just put a rechargeable one in it. And it just takes 3 Phillips screws, comes right out, comes apart, and it works. It's easy to do. So check all your yay! The Zombie King showed up finally. Hey, Dave. Yeah. So and check all your flashlights. If you have kerosene lanterns or oil lanterns, give them a check over too. Make sure they're not developing a leak. I had one after 15 years develop a leak. So. But there's just think of anything and everything that you might need to check and make it a game day, especially if you have a teenagers too. Say, all right, what can you find that needs to be fixed or it needs to be changed out? Some of those kids will come with the weirdest things and say, well, I never thought about that. Yeah, we might as well do that too. Oh, bathroom vents in the bathroom above the stuff. Make sure those are clean too, because in the bathrooms you get these concrete dust bunnies developing in there. And the reason why they call them concrete is because basically all the steam from the shower and stuff, and then the dust gets and it condenses on the stuff in there, and it sticks and starts building, and yeah. So there's that to check out too. Anything else, guys, that you guys can think of that I missed?
I mean, there's 10 million things that you can go over in fire safety, and you'll forget them the minute after you hear them. Yeah. But just go through your house. If something looks funky to you, 9 times out of 10, it usually is. And if you're not sure you're going to be able to identify a problem, ask the local fire department. Even if it's a career fire department that's paid for by the city, if you ask them to come and do a fire safety inspection of your house, they will do it. Because number one, they now know the outlay of your house. So if they ever have to respond to a fire there, they know where to go. Here's where the kitchen is. Here's where the bedrooms are. So if somebody's missing, they know, okay, go to the bathroom, go to the bedrooms that are upstairs. They know where they are. That never hurts having the fire department know that stuff.
Okay, so like Tibor said, if your house doesn't have an outside freeze valve, wrap the outside faucet to prevent air from entering around it. Also keep it from getting too cold. And those that don't know what, live in areas like, oh, I live in California, I don't need it. Well, hey, I grew up in California. I was born in California. In 81, we had a freeze, and it was the first time that the water lines going to my parents' house, which they'd owned since 1960, froze, ruptured underground, and we had to replace the line. And we dug. We worked for a construction company. My brother brought home the backhoe. We lowered the water inlet to the house down 1.5 feet deeper. But let me show you here. If I know I got to pick. Here we go. Binga bunga. And this is actually the best brand too. The price on this, $62. Yes, this is a Waterford. This is the best one out there. The valve is not up here. The valve is down here at this end. And they come in different lengths. So the colder you are, the longer you want to get, so it goes underneath the house or whatever, or through where a wall meets the outside wall, so you run it back into that one, a stud or so, and you run your water out that way. This outside portion out, if I can get it to do it, out here is exposed to the air. This will freeze, but inside here it won't.
Yeah.
And that way you can go out there, you can turn it on, and you get water flowing out, and you can do whatever you need to do, wash the ice off the window or whatever else, water out there for the dogs or whatever. But these are great because, and that top cap there is an anti-siphon relief valve. So basically when you turn it off, you'll hear it go as the water all drains out of everything and down the hose. And that's the thing. So you want to make sure you open up the hose so you don't keep the hose and the pipe there stem full of water, because then it will freeze. And they do make it where you can actually run a hot and a cold water out the same spigot. So you can run lukewarm water out to defrost your car. So,
you don't know fun until you have to go dig out a fire hydrant out of the snow and then hook up a 4 or 5 inch supply line to it. That's fun.
Sounds like
fun. Lake Tahoe, I saw the fire department in Lake Tahoe with those weed burners going up to a fire hydrant and warming it up.
Well, yeah, in California, most of California has what are called filled hydrants. They actually have the water sitting in the hydrant so that when you turn it on, it instantly goes on. Yeah. In the regions of the country where it freezes all the time, you'll have what's called a dry hydrant. There will be no water up in the hydrant. It's actually, the valve is underneath ground about 8 feet.
Yeah.
And that's what we're opening up with that valve. When you see the firefighter sitting there up top and they're spinning a wrench around 15 or 20 times, that's what they're doing. They're opening the valve down underneath.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, like Lake Tahoe, they get 10, 15 feet of snow there every year. So, yeah, it's California. But, hey, the tallest mountain in the continental United States is where? California. Mm-hmm. The second tallest mountain in the continental United States is where? California.
It's Denali, isn't it?
Huh?
Denali's number 2, isn't it? Or no, that's number 2 in the world, I think.
In the world, yeah. Continental United States. The one is the tallest is down in Southern California, believe it or not, and they get snow on it every year. But Lake Tahoe and up there in the Sierras get. But if Dave was up here, he'd tell you about driving from State Line down to Auburn, and even Auburn, is sometimes snowed in. And that's a good 45-minute drive at 65 miles an hour. So but it's funny, this being a flatlander down by the Bay Area and stuff, and driving up there and watching these guys, heating up the hydrants and stuff before they open it up, because they want it warm enough so that they don't want the water to start freezing as it comes up. But can't fight fire frozen pipes. Yeah. All right. We've covered a lot of stuff here. Guys, anything else you want to talk about? Side chat, anything else you guys want to talk about?
When it's cold outside, just remember those firefighters are getting covered in water. There's times when I've come in from house fires and your bunker gear is covered in ice so much that we would have to wiggle our way out of it and it would stand on the ground next to us. That's why I wanted to get out of PA personally.
Yeah. Like kerosene on our L switches. Yeah. They do that a lot.
Yeah.
The real fun ones are during the summer when you get one of the trains that's rolling through and it's got a locked up wheel on it, and they just throw sparks all the way out the whole way. They may be traveling 60 or 70 miles, and the train can pull the car with one wheel locked on it, no problem, because it's got 2 trillion horsepower. The thing just pulls everything.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you start getting calls. Well, we would know because we had pagers for our fire service, and you'd hear everywhere the rail line went through, you'd start hearing all the calls going out to the different fire departments. Hey, there's a field on fire right next to the railroad tracks here. And it's walking its way down to you. So we'd all go down to the station because we knew our call was coming next, because we knew where the train was by where the fires were getting called out.
Yeah.
Baconator, what's on your mind? Water, yeah. Yeah, I got water on my mind too. And actually, that is something to mention. I want to bring up here again. I mentioned a little bit on Monday, on the Monday Fireside chat. If you have a well, make sure you have extra water in the house. If the power goes out, it may take you a while to get water out of your well, whether it's with a generator or whatever. If you have it where there's a heater in the pump house or whatever to keep the pump from freezing, the power goes out, guess what's going to happen? Pump's going to freeze. You need to have some water backup to keep your family going for a while. Those water bricks are great. And let me just do this here. But they have the water bricks that have the you take the cap off of it, and you have the separate cap that has the spigot on it, so you can put it on the counter and get your water out. Remember, it takes a person uses, well, all right, the average water to survive ratio calculation is 1 gallon per person per day. Cooking, add 1 gallon per person per day. Washing the dinner dishes, add another gallon per person per day. So you're talking 3 gallons per person per day to keep living as you normally do now. Granted, if you have paper plates and stuff like that, and you're using a little camp stove to heat up the can of chili in the can, you open it up, heat it up that way. You don't have to worry about washing a lot of stuff. But the average, maintaining your lifestyle usage of water is, for drinking water, cooking food, washing the dishes, 3 gallons. And that's not talking about doing laundry later on, not talking about taking a bath, because after a while you don't want to you're wearing a clothespin when you go into the dinner table. And so, so you don't really
realize
I
cannot wash my stuff with deodorant?
After a while, it don't work. You don't realize, most people don't realize how much water they use. Water compared to electricity is dirt cheap. Look at your water bill and see how many cubic feet of water you use per month. And let me pull this up again so I don't quote the wrong numbers. Cubic feet to gallons. There it is, popped up. All right, so a cubic foot of water is 7.48 gallons. So basically 7.5 gallons per cubic foot. And if you're using 300 or 400 cubic feet of water per month, that's thousands.
Froze up.
Yeah, that's thousands of gallons of water you're using per month. And you don't realize you're using that much water.
Yeah.
So
something interesting too, if you're down in Texas, I know my mom and dad live down there, and on their property, their well, they actually have a fire connection to their well. So that when the fire department gets out there, if their house is on fire or their little barn they have out back, they actually can hook directly into that with a 3-inch line, and their pumper can pump the water out of their well to fight the fire with. And a lot of the ranches in Texas have that. Not sure if they do that anywhere else, but I know they do it down in Texas.
Do you know what their water table level is?
I'm not sure, but I know the fire department and the county fire marshal required them to do it because they're out on a little patch of land that's away from where the fire department is. So they know they're going to, if they have a fire there, they're going to need more water.
Yeah.
And they're not going to be able to bring it in like a tanker would take too long to bring more water in.
Yeah.
So that's why they had them do that.
Now I know down in Southern California, they some of the tankers had, I'm not sure if they're still doing it, had a long suction hose so they could pull up, and if they had a swimming pool and the water system was down like after an earthquake, they'd run that suction hose to the swimming pool and start pumping the water out of the swimming pool.
It's called drafting. When you're a engine operator, you have to know how to set that up and do it. Because if you have a stream, like in Pennsylvania, we had all these streams all over the place. You could just lay the suction hose down into that stream, pump it up into the pumper, and then you have more water for the firefighters to use. The only thing that sucks is if you pump it into your actual water bladder, because they normally have rubberized bladders in the fire truck, there will get algae and stuff in there, and then you have to go to a professional fire truck cleaning place, and they have to tear the truck apart to get the bag out so that they can clean it out thoroughly. That sucks.
Yeah, I can imagine. All right.
All right. Well, guys,
she's falling asleep.
I gotta let you go too. I gotta put my son to bed, and it's 11 o'clock at night. So.
All right. Yeah, we've been on for a couple hours. I think we had a really good chat. Covered a lot of stuff. Impromptu. Worked good. I got on my soapbox and screamed about several things. Well, I didn't scream. I just carried on like somebody wanting to raise taxes. I didn't say Miss Plastic Face's name. She loves to raise taxes. Anyways, so we're going to wrap this up here. Thank everyone for coming by. Thank Yossi, Bruce, and Courtney for coming up here. And Al was up here too earlier. And so we'll see you next week here, same time, 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Pacific. And then tomorrow night is going to be an interesting one on the Camp Patton Family Compound channel. And pull it up here. There it is. It is, wrong. There we go. All right. So tomorrow night is backup power generator, solar generator. We're going to get into that a little bit. We talked a little bit about this earlier on Monday night a little bit, but we're going to talk specifically about generators, loads. So we're getting back to electricity again. And we're going to talk a little bit about how to hook it up to your house the proper way. And then we're going to talk about how do I want to say this politically correct? The hillbilly way. Or the five-finger discount way. And so we're going to talk about, ways you can do it to try to keep your house safe. Because I know people look at the prices of those transfer switch and they go, "Oh, that's 5 times as much as my generator cost."
Well, they're not that bad. The switch themselves are usually only like $20 or $30. It's just having the electrical know-how to actually install it correctly.
Well, actually, if you get the transfer switch with the lines on it, it runs because basically you have the transfer switch, and then it hooks, and you have the lines from the house coming to it and back, so that when you transfer it severs those lines and basically puts power to certain ones you want circuits in your house. So that thing runs about $500 because it has breakers in the transfer switch as well for each one, whether you have 4, 6, 10, or 15 circuits going to your house that you're pulling off to run off of your generator pre-wired. So all you do is plug your generator into it and flip the switch. For that simplicity, you're paying the extra money. Or you can just run a extension cord through and run it to your refrigerator and freezer and keep that up and tell everybody else to suck it up. So we're going to talk about all that tomorrow night. That will be at 10 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Mountain, 7 o'clock Pacific, 9 Central. And if you're wherever you are overseas, figure it out.
He was talking to you, Yossi.
Yeah. So basically, we will start whatever time was an hour ago. So that's what's coming up tomorrow. Bruce, you're doing open chat tomorrow starting at 9 Eastern.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
And
so if anybody has any fire questions they forgot tonight, show up tomorrow and I can answer them then.
Yeah.
I told you I'm going to be up.
Yeah. All righty. We will see y'all later. Thank you for coming by. And as always, everyone, stay happy no matter what life throws at you.
Night all.
Stay safe. Don't do anything foolish. And keep on